USA. You can see him, hear him, talk to him, chat with him, tweet him, and so many other things, which we'll find out specifics at the end of the thing here. So stay tuned. The fantasy guru, the smartest man in the world when it comes to fantasy football, and maybe a couple other things. The one, the only, Dave Richard. Good morning.
What's up, Dave? How are your fantasy teams doing?
Well, I don't mind telling you. The one league I was really pissed
for over a decade. So
yeah. The one league that I was really ticked about because Josh Allen and CeeDee Lamb and Richard Jefferson, Justin Jefferson were all there and overbid for, and I had to fill in the blanks. Number one team in the league, number one in scoring, 2-0. And this is the league I never win. So, yeah, and you may remember me bringing this up. My good friend in there turned down after week one, turned down my offer for CeeDee Lamb for Christian McCaffrey straight up. And, life's good there so far.
Good. You got to keep it up and stay vigilant on the waiver wire. Make sure that all of your bench spots, there's a why behind each player is there. And otherwise, just set your lineups as best you can. Hopefully, everyone stays healthy.
Well, I will. Then I will actually run that into. I'll ask you a question about my team, but I think this is a question you're probably getting a lot this week. I had told you that my running back situation was not great. I did pick up Kareem Hunt. I know a lot of people didn't. I mean, again, this is a 12-team league this is a tough league. So I'm hoping I got something there. Miles Sanders is on my bench, but the guy I'm starting this week because I have no other choice. It's either Sanders, Kareem Hunt, which of course, or Ty Chandler of the Vikings, and he and Aaron Jones. Or if you're a Ty Chandler owner, do you have a glimmer of hope that this could turn into something?
Yeah, because Aaron Jones, you got a glimpse of him getting hurt last week, and he left the game, and Chandler came in, and he did all right, and he had a good rushing average against what I think is still a good 49ers run defense. Mm-hmm. And it's another tough challenge this week because we don't know if Kareem Hunt's going to play, and even if he does, how much will he play, how effective will he be, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's an easy decision for you to go with Chandler and just hope that you can squeeze out 7 fantasy points. Maybe you'll get really lucky with him. But he does have a chance with Aaron Jones. Listen, Aaron Jones is an older running back. He's good when he plays, but when he gets hurt, obviously he's terrible. He's done that each of the past few seasons. And he's certainly a candidate to be Wally pipped by Chandler. So that's the reason why you've got Chandler on your team. And in this case, this is why you're starting him in week 3.
Dave, how about we kind of alluded to it, and Dave brought up Kareem Hunt. So the Chiefs, that offense, I think everybody wants pieces of that offense. But the running game with Pacheco being hurt, is Steele, is Hunt, is there something else there that's worth monitoring?
Well, Samaje Perine is worth monitoring. And what I would expect to see this week is Carson Steele is the rundowns back, Perine helping him out, and also taking all the passing downs work, playing in the 2-minute offense. And if Kareem Hunt is active, then my guess is that he would back up both those guys. And if something happened to one of those guys, he would come in and play. But I think in time, it's going to be Kareem Hunt, who's the best running back in Kansas City. There are 2 jobs that you must be able to do well to be a running back in Kansas City. Job number 1 is pass protect for Patrick Mahomes, because you have to. And number 2 is cashing in at the goal line, converting those short yardage runs. And you'd think that Steele can do that. And he has. He's been like that guy in He-Man. Do you remember Ram Man, Dave, from He-Man?
Heck yes, I remember Ram Man and Tila and Man at Arms. Absolutely.
I didn't ask about the other people. I just asked about Ram Man. I don't want to get into a whole He-Man conversation.
Power of Grayskull. Okay, I got you. Okay.
You railed the show.
You triggered me, man. That's fun.
That's what Carson Steele reminds me of. Woo. Converted fullback, physical guy, can run straight ahead, can break tackles, but he's got a fumbling issue that goes back to his college days, and he's not a particularly explosive running back. And I think the Falcons' run defense is actually pretty good. So I think in time, so I don't love Steele this week, but in time, I think Kareem Hunt's going to be the best running back for the Chiefs.
Dave Richard joining us. Let's talk about my 49ers. I just checked the injury wire earlier with Jason. I believe everybody on the Niners is out this weekend. Kittle, McCaffrey, Debo. Who, let me just say, let me put it this way, because how did I put it earlier? What 49er, in your opinion, went from an X rating to a Y rating with the highest jump based on those offensive players being out?
Aiyuk went to a top 20-ish wide receiver to a top 10 wide receiver.
Okay.
That's kind of obvious. Okay. And Jordan Mason's already been now, he's running away as a number one fantasy running back because he's got this great role that McCaffrey is leaving for him. And there's no one else that's really taking Mace off the field. But Aiyuk now, listen, there's no Kittle, there's no Deebo Samuel. You've got Juwan Jennings to throw to, maybe Juszczyk out of the backfield a little bit along with Mason. I don't think Braden Willis or Eric Selbert are going to go and be good options in the passing game. There isn't another wide receiver that I'm confident in or that I would recommend for fantasy managers. I think this is a great spot for Brandon Aiyuk to not come close to scoring a touchdown like he has in the first 2 weeks of the season, but actually catch a touchdown in this matchup against the Rams. And listen, man, this Rams team, it is not a fair representation of who they are. They're without their best receivers. They're without the interior of their offensive line, basically. Their defense isn't that good. They're missing pieces there. I think the 49ers can bop them. I think they'll be able to do what they want. And I think Brandon Aiyuk can go and have a monster game. And that means that Brock Purdy is a decent start this week. I don't think he has the same type of ceiling as other quarterbacks around the league. Like I'd start Goff over him, start Geno Smith over him. Wow. But I do think that this is an opportunity for the 49ers really to get right on both sides of the ball after taking a loss last week on the road.
If you're struggling with receivers, obviously, if you've got an injury or you're in a giant league and all the receivers are gone, do you see any boom potential with a Juwan Jennings?
Sure. For this week, if you're in a pinch and you need somebody who, in theory, can pick up 5-6 targets and maybe they could find the touchdown, he would be in that range. But I want to give you some other wide receivers who I have ranked ahead of him because you might be able to find these guys on your waiver wire. And I think they'll be better, not just for this week, but potentially rest of season. Quentin Johnston with the Chargers. He's really impressed the first 2 weeks of the season. Doesn't look like the same bumbling rookie that he was last year. And eventually the Chargers will get into games where they're going to have to throw. Quentin Johnston can be that guy. I think both the wide receivers in Carolina, Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen, could come alive. Maybe more so in PPR than non-PPR with Andy Dalton under center. Darnell Mooney could end up being the number 2 target getter for the Falcons. He's been their big play guy, but he might be able to contribute more in short area roles. And Demarcus Robinson with the Rams, who is probably like their best wide receiver right now. This is somebody who has played with Matthew Stafford. Stafford trusts him. Matchup against the 49ers, I think they're going to have to throw a lot. I think those throws will be short, but Robinson can pick them up and maybe do some things after the catch. Other guys for like short week options, Jalen Naylor with the Vikings, Greg Dortch with the Cardinals, Dontavian Wicks with the Packers, Jalen Tolbert with the Cowboys could end up being somebody who ends up being their number 2 target getter among wide receivers.
Dave, I know you've always told us to never to overreact too much just a couple weeks in, but man, the Saints, 40-plus points in each week. I don't think they were probably that many popular picks amongst what they could do offensively. How much should we try to get on that Saints train if there are still people available out there?
Well, I mean, first of all, we all knew this was coming because what does Derek Carr do? Year in and year out, he's a superstar, right?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah? Okay. Look, the key to this offense has been their offensive line, first and foremost. They've done an excellent job protecting Derek Carr. He was sacked once last week. He took on Micah Parsons and the Cowboys. That's not easy to do. The second thing is that this offense has changed dramatically. They went to Clint Kubiak as their play caller, and he's been designing things that the Saints haven't done, honestly, in the last 2 decades. I mean, they're using motion a ton, play action more, and Carr's taking deep shots, and he's always kind of done that, but now he's just like super effective with it. He's throwing more confidently. He's got good poise. You can see that when you watch him play. I think they're for real. And so Carr has entered the conversation as a top 12 fantasy quarterback. I think he's going to have to throw this week against Philadelphia. Kamara is a stud. You know what to do with him. I think Chris Olave's best games are ahead of him, especially if defenses start to respect what Rashid Shaheed has done the first 2 weeks of the season. Shaheed's got unbelievable speed. If you've watched him play, he runs past everybody. Like, he's up there. He's got to be close to the same type of speed as like Tank Dell, Jamison Williams, maybe not Tyreek Hill, but he's in that range, and he's finally making catches along with it. And if defenses start to respect that, and I would guess that Philadelphia will, that'll open things up underneath for Chris Olave, who's no slouch himself. He's got outstanding speed and can make plays after the catch. So I think the best is coming for him. Shaheed is a good flex play, maybe even a low-end number 2 wide receiver for this week. And I can't really get a grip on the tight end situation in New Orleans between Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, and Taysom Hill. I think I would still put my chips on Taysom Hill to be the best tight end there, even though he's not really used like a tight end. But his role's changed. He's not stealing short yardage touchdowns anymore. But I do think he'll get involved in the passing game. Another guy who would benefit from defenses playing that 2 deep safety shell and forcing the Saints to take underneath throws.
Dave Richard joining us. Some questions from the audience. Loyal listener John wants to know, Scary Terry or Thomas Jr. at the 3rd wide receiver spot?
It's closer than you think between those two because Brian Thomas Jr. has when he's gotten opportunities, he's been one of the fastest guys on the field for his team. I still have McLaurin higher against the Bengals, but it's close between those two. They're like 5 spots apart in my wide receiver rankings.
Okay, that's lightning around here. Drake London or Malik Neighbors or Demarcus Robinson, 2 of 3 they can play.
I'll sit Robinson of those 3, but Neighbors is my favorite of the group.
Ford or Brian Robinson?
Brian Robinson.
Okay, Baker Mayfield and Jaden Daniels. Who should start this week? Also, this person can pick up Joe Burrow on waivers. Okay.
What?
what is
Deepak Chopra?
It's a 2-person league. What do you do there? Mayfield, Daniels, or pick up Burrow? Well, you pick up Burrow anyways,
yes.
Right? But
yeah, I thought you said something completely different than Joe Burrow, which is why I said Deepak Chopra. But yes, if you're in a league where you can add Joe Burrow and start Joe Burrow, I question what that league is like. Hey, it is what it is. Joe Burrow is a must start this week.
Chris Olave or Chris Godwin? Godwin.
Godwin over Olave.
I always want to call him Olave because I see olive. It's like the David.
No, it's Olave. I have a crazy story that'll bore you.
Oh, please.
About Chris Olave.
Yeah. Well, you can't say that and then not expect us to want to be bored.
I'm a 13-year-old dude in suburban Chicago making like homemade silly videos with my friends. And one of my friends ends the video by waving into the camera and saying Olave. This is like 1992. Okay. So for whatever reason, that stuck in our friend group that Olave meant goodbye. And now here's Chris Olave as a thing in the National Football League.
Wait, does Olave really mean goodbye?
Ever.
Does Olave mean goodbye in the language?
No, we made that up for like the stupidest, like dopey video that like teenage dudes make. I think we were pretending to like sell starter caps.
Nice.
So, like we were walking around with like a dozen starter hats on our heads.
Any chance you still have this video somewhere?
It's unlikely.
We'd love to show
I
it.
know, we need it.
I'd love to see it. But it ends with him waving to the camera and going, Olave.
Olave.
That's a great nickname for if a wide receiver's last name meant goodbye in a different. That's pretty awesome. If you have goodbye on the back of your jersey. Finally, Devontae Adams, Rashid Shaheed, Devontae Smith, or Jackson Smith. I never know.
I think I want to let you keep pronouncing names.
I don't know. I'm good.
Run the names past me one more time, please.
Devontae Adams, Rashid Shaheed, Devontae Smith, or JSN.
Smith and Adams.
Okay.
The Devontaes.
The Devontaes?
Yeah.
Oh,
you
right.
The Devontaes stick together.
Mount Devontae more.
Devontae means start.
Right. Yeah. Where can we see, hear, touch, and feel you, Dave?
I told you it was a boring story, and you managed to turn it into a fun story.
It's a great story.
That's great at Dave.
Yeah.
Listen, we just got done recording our Friday episode. It starts sit for all the NFC home games. We've got a whole other episode that we recorded yesterday. Starts it for the AFC home games. We touch on every single player. Start sit decisions to help you make confident decisions in your fantasy league. Go to youtube.com, search for Fantasy Football Today, and subscribe to the Fantasy Football Today podcast right there on YouTube. It streams every morning at like 5:30 for you guys out in Cali.
Someone wants to know if we've ever played the game The Floor is Olave. So that's going to keep going for a while. David, good luck this weekend in all 700 of your leagues. Thank you as always for your lovely advice. Good luck on the TV. And hey, did you did you get to 100,000 subscribers yet?
We did. We actually had a celebration video.
Hey, you get one of them big silver
We had a
plaques.
celebration video last night. We answered 100 questions before the Thursday night game.
Yo, were they all
I
football?
wore a tux for the occasion.
You did?
I did.
All right. Well, appreciate you and Olave.
Olave, brother.
That's not going to get old.
Yeah.
I think every show is going to be, we say Olave at the end.
That's right.
1-800-920-1140. Right now, John Party returns to Shoreline Amphitheater next Friday. So he's in Wheatland tonight. He's at Shoreline next week. That's what's going on. We want you to get in the building, kiddos. All you have to do is hit up the Folsom Lake Honda hotline right now. Again, 1-800